Hi there, Ramon, Lynn, and Svetlana here from Memoryz with another episode of Caregiver Interviews. And today we have two amazing caregivers from New Jersey. So I'll toss it over to them to introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Diana Gonzalez-Moret, and
I'm her sister, Sandra Gonzalez-Moret.
Yeah, and like Ramon said, we're in New Jersey, and are caregivers for our mom who is living with frontal temporal dementia.
Nice. So I guess how long have you guys been caregivers?
4 years.
Yes.
Yeah, so our mother was diagnosed in April of 2017. And I guess to share more about that process, because I think one thing that we wished we had was understanding the signs and symptoms early on would have been helpful. So I guess what's interesting about Sandra and I is that we both have had very different experiences, where I was living on the West Coast here in the United States, in California, during the beginning of my mom's journey with FTD. And my sister has been more boots, like she's been on the ground the whole time. So I guess, do you want to talk about the beginning a little more?
Yeah. So we were just noticing certain things that were different for my mom. She was staying in bed a lot longer. When she was driving, she wasn't staying in the lines. She would hang up on me all the time, and it would drive me insane. That she would just be talking, and then all of a sudden it was like she put the phone down and walked away mid-conversation, which was odd. A whole bunch of little things that were strange. And then sort of like the big red flag was International Women's Day. I called her in 2017, and I was like, Mom, it's International Women's Day. Why don't we meet at our favorite restaurant? I'll meet you there at 5:30 after work. Perfect. I go there. She's not coming. It's 6:30. I'm calling her best friend. I'm calling my dad. Where is she? Have you guys seen her? I sat at that restaurant until I think 8 p.m. Finally, she showed up at home. My dad called me, and she got lost. One, she got lost. Two, she hung up the phone and went directly to the restaurant. So like a couple hours earlier than we'd agreed upon. And so finally I called her doctor and I said, something is really wrong. I don't think it's Alzheimer's, because we had seen Alzheimer's in our family before. I thought it was a brain tumor. They were going to take it out, and then she was going to be normal again. And I really fought hard to get her tested. And it's unfortunate that her doctor didn't see the signs. That's sort of like a traumatic time, because I called her doctor, who had been my doctor as well, who had been like the family doctor for a while. And the doctor told me, she's like, Sandra, you just have to accept that your mother has given up on life. And that was like, what? That's totally not what's going on here. Long story short, the doctor was very sweet once we were in the room with her, and she actually was witnessing the changes. And we got the diagnosis. We took her for an MRI, and the doctor called and said, your mom has something called Pick's disease. But come on next week or whatever. So I called my sister, of course, immediately. Anyway, not relevant, but it was the first week of a new job for me, and it was nuts. So I called my sister and said, Mom has this thing called Pick's disease. And then it's just spiraled from there. Yeah. So
and that moment, like that's like a moment that stands out for me, is like when she did call me. At that point, I was in graduate school for acting, and master at graduate school is very like intense. And then you have this showcase where you go to LA and New York, and I was about to go into a big meeting for an agency, and then got that call, and then just kind of that the rest of those moments, all I heard was 2 to 10 years of life, and that like what it was, and I didn't understand what was happening. I was like, wait, mom's so young, she's only 62
at the time, yeah,
or 61 I think at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it just like, no, this is not the way things go in my life. Like, we're too young, like I'm just starting my career, and having all of those big emotions and finding that out, and then the changes were drastically quick from then on, and she has regressed in many ways quickly. And it's been definitely a feeling like it feels like you're in the ocean and a big wave takes you in and you are stuck in the wave, and there's really nothing to grab to like get you out of it. And I feel that that's what that initial experience was. So learning how to caregive amongst trying to survive and trying to get out of that wave has been, I think, the most challenging thing.
Right.
Is to process those big emotions when you're caring for someone you love so much, and feeling ambiguous grief and feeling anticipatory grief and not really knowing that that's what it is. And at the same time, having to figure out how can we be ethical caregivers and make sure that our mom is getting the utmost care when we haven't studied this, when we haven't gone to school, and we will be making mistakes and we continue making mistakes. But that underneath it all is this love we have for our mom.
And the love she has for us.
And the love she has for us. Yeah, the love is big. We got lots of love over here.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's kind of like the initial experience. And I guess we didn't mention frontal, I'm sure, well, I don't know, frontal temporal degeneration or dementia is early onset form of dementia. And it's very person to person, it's a very different experience. But with our mom, it has been behavioral and aphasia, as well as Parkinsonisms that have come along with it. So she's losing mobility in this left side of her body. So that's how FTD has manifested itself. But yeah, so.
That's all I've got there. We can keep talking.
No, thank you guys so much for sharing that story. I think it's amazing the resilience you guys are able to display through that really difficult time. So just thank you for sharing that. It's really inspiring to see that, despite all the hardships, you're still like prioritizing the love you have for each other and your mother and the love your mother has for you.
Mm.
So I guess like my next question would be, we have tons of like younger caregivers who like follow us on like Instagram and like watch these caregiver interviews. So what advice would you have to them in terms of balancing like the emotional aspects of caregiving, the physical aspects, career, also being a young person? Like, how did you guys work through all of that? I'd love to hear that.
Mm.
Do you want to take the first point, or do you want me? Because again, it's different experiences.
Yeah, I think that's like I guess that's the gift with the two of us, is we've definitely had very different experiences. Yeah, I would say, first of all, I want to affirm it sucks. Like, it is really difficult and challenging and hard. And emotionally, it's very exhausting and difficult. And there is not as much support, I think, as possible. And it's also a lot of internal struggles that have gone for myself. I think the biggest thing that I guess I would give that I feel like has taught me through this process was going back to ambiguous and anticipatory grief, is that if I don't acknowledge my grief, then I'm not being a good caregiver, because I'm not fully present. And I think the beauty and the magnificence of caregiving is that it forces you to be present. And I think that's why I think so many folks are so afraid are become so, something stirs in folks when when visiting or when being with someone who is living with dementia or Alzheimer's. And for me, I think it is, one is the fear of loss of autonomy, but also it's having to be, and in this beingness that is such a beautiful experience for folks that are living, like with my mom, like she is fully present and fully being, and you are forced to slow down, and in that slowing down, so much of your own, I was gonna say can I say shit? Anyway, your own crap comes up.
Your own duty
comes up, and you're really forced to look at yourself internally and learn like that these feelings of grief, that once you're vulnerable with them, that actually has brought me closer to my mom. The moments that I've been trying to take care of her and like be like, oh, you know what, I'm not going to be sad in front of her because I want to keep everything light and happy and loving. That's also me taking away her autonomy, because she's a whole grown person, and the moments that I have released my grief and released my sadness with her have been the moments that she's held my hand and she has been present and with me and taken care of me. And that, you know, as much as I want to control everything, because it is such a difficult, that once you also let go and are with and are vulnerable, that vulnerability breeds connection, and in the end, I think makes your job a lot easier, you know. And that the moments I was resisting it is when burnout came up quicker, when depression came up quicker, when anxiety, and I say quicker because I still have to learn to live with all those things, and have learned tools that have helped me like manage. So it's more management, I guess. I don't want to say that I'm not going to pretend that they aren't there, because they are there, and it is challenging and it is difficult. But that's been one really key thing that it took me a long time to realize within myself, is
Right.
Avoidance of those feelings is actually not helping with the caregiving.
Right. And I think, you know, as a young caregiver, researching, sorry, that's the word that I wanted to say, researching, you know, finding workarounds for things early on is really important. You know, Diana and I are both have careers as well as caregiving and sharing all the responsibilities. My dad works as well. You know, we're lucky that we have somebody that helps out outside of the family as well. But it's sort of, it's juggling a lot of balls at the same time. And years ago, I heard this analogy of some are glass balls and some are plastic balls, and you're constantly juggling them. And, you know, something like mom is a glass ball, and something like, you know, drinks with the girls is a plastic ball. Still important, but sometimes you have to drop them and pick them up at another time. So
I love that. You
yeah.
told me that. That's amazing.
I guess I've talked to my therapist about it a lot. I guess that's why I have. Yeah, it's a struggle. I mean, yeah, I'm not going to reiterate. Yeah,
it is. Yeah, oh, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Oh no, yeah, I was gonna say that you mentioned like the career aspects, and I think that the role reversal at such a young age, like I threw my tantrums. Like I definitely. I mean, we both did, but yeah. I did more. I threw my tantrums of no. Like I'm not. No, Mom, I'm not going into this role. Like I'm not ready for that. You know, I want to get married. I want kids, and then so then that like resentment towards all of that stuff was really came up, and then I would try to like normalize the situation. And in ways that, again, going back to grief, was my ways of avoiding that feelings. Like, okay, well, at least if I just, my mom came and flew out to California with me for a couple months earlier on. Well, not early, I guess the middle stages of her journey. And And I would go out on dates while she was asleep, which is probably not the best thing to do, but trying to find normalcy. And I say that because that's a part that I feel a lot of shame about, but I also say it because I'm sure other people are there, that sometimes, you have to find your normalcy, and, we are still young and we still have to. So it's like, it doesn't have to be either or, it can be and. I am a caregiver and I'm also a creative and an actor, but, I have had to make the choice that, and I can't do all of those things at once.
Right.
That it's never letting something go. It's always like putting things on pause and focusing, because, my priority is my mom, but, even beyond that, like it's myself and my well-being, and what do I need in this moment to be able to be present for everybody else. And so, yeah, I guess I throw those tantrums and I speak of them. I don't feel proud about the tantrums, but they definitely happened.
No, honestly, thank you guys so much for those responses. I definitely think any young caregivers who are going through what you guys have to go through would take a lot out of what you said. I love the whole glass ball, plastic ball analogy. I think it's great. We may have to patent that. Sorry.
You know where I heard that, and Diana's gonna laugh, but I like reading romance novels, and I just came across this interview with an author, Nora Roberts, who I had like an episode where I was reading Nora Roberts like constantly, and she talked about it, and I guess it always stayed with me from like years ago.
So thank you, Nora Roberts.
Thank you, Nora Roberts.
I love that.
Yeah.
For sure. That's but I was actually wondering if you guys could just elaborate a bit more on like a specific strategy you guys use to like avoid caregiver burnout. Definitely think you guys have a lot of great insights and love some of the points you're making. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think this is all a work in progress.
We're always in process.
Right. So we're not, yes, it's all a work in progress. So go ahead.
I think the things that have helped, and it's taken us about 4 years to get to this point, to be quite honest, is I'd say knowing that everybody in the family or anybody in the immediate support group, that everyone's going through their own phases. So acknowledging that will kind of help. If you say like you separate you from it, so then I don't know what I'm trying to say there, but just acknowledging that is a huge thing. Be like structure. So we have a schedule of caregiving where I'm the main person throughout the week, and we have blocks of time that I'm working. Then I switch with my dad for the evening so that I can work on my stuff and do my work in the evening. And then we have someone in the morning who's amazing and an angel, and is incredible. Libby, te queremos mucho. And is during the day, and Sandra comes in the evenings and also on the weekend and one day of the weekend. And so we've balanced it out, but also Sandra is kind of the logistics person, sets up all doctor's appointments. So we've really been able to delegate and manage and see what people's strengths are within our family. And so that way not one person has to do everything on their own. Right. And that's how we've been able to lessen the time between burnouts, because we still burn out. And I think making one promise to yourself a day that you're going to do for yourself has helped me a lot, whether it's I'm going to go out and walk in nature by myself. Well, I have a dog, so with my dog, or get on the bike and do an hour of cardio just to have that invigoration. What are some of yours?
Oh, thanks for asking. Meditation, I think when I do it helps a lot. I exercise, nature. Her dog is the emotional support animal of the house. And asking for help and And I think, and that's a tough one, of speaking up and figuring things out, and just, you know, I mean, my sister and I are constantly texting each other, and, you know, but even just like sister time is super important, because, you know, we can go like weeks without like actually having like a sister conversation, because it's all about mom.
It is true.
So yeah, I think that's yeah, it's a very real thing. And yeah.
And also building it with mom too has been helpful, you know, like
because she's been learning with us. Like it's sort of, and she's sort of, we have to be intuitive with her. So yeah.
And I guess that's another thing that has like helped out a lot, is I've been studying more of breath work and somatic work, and you know, the nervous system. So I feel like the more connected I am to my nervous system, the more I can regulate my nervous system, the more that I see it affects my mom in the moment. And so that has been helpful, because that actually helps with the burnout, because we're doing this together, whether we're doing breath work, whether we're dancing, whether, you know, praying together, or having prayer time that we watch prayer time together, and building it in together. So it's also not like an either or thing again too. So, and then in the end, it's benefiting my mom and myself and you and everyone. So, yeah.
No, for sure. Thank you guys so much for sharing those strategies. I love so many of the points you guys touched on, and I know any caregiver watching this is going to be able to pull from that. So thank you so much for being so vulnerable.
I forgot one more very important thing.
Oh, what?
Gold stars. I give myself gold stars all the time. I'm a kindergarten. I'm like a kindergartner, but giving yourself gold stars for the hard stuff that you do for yourself, or for the caregiving, you know, for my mom, is giving props. Like, hey, you did that. You're a badass bitch. Like, yes, that's great. Or, you know, just those affirmations of like, and the self-talk, I think is like a very important part too, is because it's like, it's so difficult to just get into the structure of, okay, I've got to get the toilet, and I've got to get this, and I got the Pampers and the this, and then missing the medications, and then you're like, are not having a moment to be like, hey, you did that, like you did that too, like look at you,
yeah,
right? And doing that for each other, because I think, you know, Sandra's an amazing human, as you all can realize, but I really appreciate the way that you show affirmation and gratitude all the time. So a ton of props on that.
Thank you. And yeah, and we're very blessed to have each other, and to have my dad and an extended family and support group that that can sort of acknowledge those wins, and how far we've come, and, you know, the good things that we've done. So, and again, to call and say, listen, I'm not doing so great today. You know, can you do this for me, or can you do that for me? So,
yeah. No, for sure. I love the idea of celebrating the small things. I think it's when you're going through something so difficult emotionally, it's really easy to forget the positives. So I love the emphasis you guys put on that. So I think I'm going to throw things over to Svetlana now. I'm sure she has a few questions for you guys, but you guys are doing great. Love all the points you're sharing.
No, you want me to be comfortable.
Thank you.
It's so nice to listen to you guys and to hear what you have to say. You sound so supportive, and like just the way you're speaking is just so sweet. So thank you so much. I'm really just enjoying listening to you. To keep things on a positive note, I was just wondering if you could share with us maybe some of the activities that you enjoy doing with your mom, or some of the fun stuff that you guys do, anything like that. Just any of your favorite experiences as a caregiver. I would love to hear about that.
You want me to go?
Yeah, you go ahead.
Okay. I think you know, I think dancing has been a lot of fun with my mom. So we we've only made it to one Lincoln Center dance class, but it was amazing. And take a couple other dance classes. and it's been a lot of fun to connect in that way. And also prayer I brought up, but like we do that together. Drawing, coloring has been fun. Going out for walks and just enjoying the outside and nature. I also enjoy like cooking with her, and I would like, I don't want to be honest, it doesn't happen as often as I wish it would, but when it does, it's very special. So it's, those are the beautiful moments where she's there in the kitchen and she's nodding yes or no to the ingredients, and we're doing it together.
Yeah. For me lately, it's been, I read her a book when I'm here every night, like after I put her to bed. I think, she's very much engaged in all the book. There's especially one book that I read her that is just like, loving her throughout the year, that I read to her most nights that I'm here. That's super special. Lately, it's been like the fart jokes and the poopy jokes.
Yes, we love fart jokes.
And getting her to laugh. She like getting her to giggle, because it's becoming rarer and rarer. Getting her to giggle. It's becoming extremely rare for her to say a word, so that's like makes my day. And then throughout the journey, I mean, like she had her period of time where she not pretended, because it was real for her, but she thought she had babies, and it would be, like talking about the babies in her belly, or the babies were already born, and what did the babies do today? And she would laugh and laugh because there was like 6 babies, and just,
I think it was like 24 at one point.
It varied.
We said we had to move.
Right, we had to move because there's so many babies. It was, yeah. So I mean, that was, although it's sad, right? Because it's a delusion, but just giving into it. The snakes, she thought there was snakes everywhere, and my dad would come home from work, and he would he would go to the bathroom, right, because he just had a long commute, but he would come back and she'd be like, what color was it? Where did it go? And he would say, I threw it out the window. And we live across a country club, and he would anyway, just like all of these like giggles that we would have over it, and just leaning into it. Mm-hmm. And not, that was every phase of this has had its fun moments, and something that I am so appreciative of is that I got a glimpse of how my mom was as a young girl or a teenager. Mm-hmm. I think my sister had like the teenager.
I definitely experienced a teenager.
Yeah, time period, just like that mentality. It's just so beautiful. And I guess as an adult, like I don't get to play very much. And I got to play with my mom, and that's something that I'll treasure always. So yeah.
I think some other things we like to do is we start the day with, my mom's Mexican, and we start the day with mariachi music, or she loves the disco era, or disco music, and always like start with some fun tunes. And for a long time she would sing along.
Yeah.
And then also she loves her jewelry, so making sure that every day we pick out which earrings she wants to wear, or she does, not us. She'll choose one out of 2 pairs, which earrings to wear, which color lipstick to put on, and just those moments, and like we spend some time in the mirror, and just like again, like praising, oh, look how beautiful we are, and those moments are really special and fun. And I think it's like, for a long time I thought we had to do these big things, like we have to build, like we have to paint, and we have to do this and that, and like put so much pressure on activities being like big, but just the small moments and the small little things that can bring you so much joy.
Yeah, they're special. I mean, I wish this on anybody, but at the same time, it's a gift.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. No, I feel like I know where you're going. The gift is also like how is that, but also how much we have grown
Absolutely.
as people, and closer to ourselves, and like how we've had to learn how to place boundaries, how to say no. I feel like that was one you said earlier.
Yeah.
Or how to take care of yourself, how to communicate better, how to ask for help, how to talk to doctors.
I mean, I think like early on, I think a lesson that I learned was, these doctors, they work for us. We don't work for them. And if they're not listening, or if they're not supporting us in the way that we needed to be supported, then there's nothing wrong with getting a second opinion or getting another doctor. Like again, like medical stuff. A tip that I had to learn the hard way is putting a sign that says, hi, my name is Diana. I have frontotemporal dementia. I can't make decisions. Please call my healthcare advocate or / daughter, Sandra. I think that was.
That was a hard. You're talking about when you were when Mom was in the hospital during COVID?
No.
Oh.
No, this was before. Oh. This is before they took her for a procedure, and I was. That's right. I'm pretty even keeled, but I was livid because I got there and where's my mom? So anyway, I think that's just like a day-to-day important lesson that I learned that I'd like to impart, because I think that's important. So
yeah, I feel like there are definitely so many challenges, but it's really nice to hear you talk about the rewarding side of it and things that you've learned and how you've grown and things that you do together with your mom. And so thank you for sharing that. That was really nice. The next question I want to ask that kind of relates into that one is sort of about misconceptions. So is there any misconceptions about caregiving in general, or about dementia, or anything like that you think people may have that you would like to address, or that you would like to bring up, or just say anything about, like misconceptions about caregiving and like dementia and anything like that?
One thing is dementia doesn't look the same. I think our mom's type of dementia, frontotemporal degeneration, is different than Alzheimer's, although it's under that umbrella of dementia. So that's a big misconception. And every dementia looks different. Even another patient with FTD will reflect different things. Caregiving, it's not like babysitting. It's not like, because my mom is an adult and she's a grown woman. And even just like the logistics of changing her is not as easy as picking her up and moving, and that takes longer than just picking up a baby or whatever, or child. What else?
Yeah, I guess I'm the grief lady, but I guess the assumption too that you shouldn't feel any sort of grief because someone's alive. That I'm sure my mom, I think my mom didn't talk to us as much, but I'm sure she felt her own grief along her journey. But that you are allowed to feel grief, and you're allowed to grieve the changes, because they are painful. I think that's something that I wish I heard earlier on. Because the things I heard the most was like, but she's still alive.
Right, you're still there.
Yeah. Don't be sad because she's alive. So right, I guess that is one. And then the other misconception, and I think you all do a great job of showing that, is that that this happens at all stages of life, and like I'm in your age, and that there are young millennial caregivers, and and that I don't really know what else to say about that, but
I can't think of anything else. And it looks it just looks different.
And everybody's experience is different.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing. I'll throw it over to Len if she has any other questions for you.
Awesome. Yeah, so yeah, really great story that you're sharing with us. Really grateful for that. And honestly, some of the tips I would say that you're sharing is not only good for caregivers to have, but also for people who are not really caregivers in general as well. I'll especially talk about some importance to value self-care and to understand kind of the things you're good at and look at the positive things of challenges you're experiencing. So those are definitely great. I'm just curious about kind of the use of technology. Have you found any technology that's helpful through this experience, whether through like calendar or reminders or kind of media or phone, or if not, what are some barriers that you have found with using technology?
I guess the one barrier with technology and with apps is like, just like when I was trying to like log certain things that were happening with my mom and realizing, oh, I have gloves on, I'm like I can't log something in, and then I forget because something happens again. So that's like something that has been a barrier of like logging. For myself, for the way I like to operate my life, having something I call like conscious calendaring is doing a calendar with different colors so I can see visually in my week and each color represents a different area of my life. Most of it's like yellow for my mom, and then the other. So visually seeing things and how I am when you're just so kind of in the zone and go, that really helps me kind of take a step back and see maybe what I need to add into my week. Or what I need to add into my mom's week, because I also write in like, okay, we went out today, we didn't go out today, just to make sure that she's having enough engagement, enough outdoor activity, enough like just actual activity. So that, and then I think you want to talk about your iPad.
Oh yeah, well, earlier on, again, my mom is sort of at the later stages, so we've been through this journey. It feels like a lot longer than 4 years. But in the beginning, she had her phone still, and she would watch videos constantly, like funny videos. I had a tablet that she would play games on, and I was able to give her that. There was one specific game about a cat, and she had to like bathe her and feed her, and so we had fun with that. And then, as she's progressed, technology just doesn't really hold her interest very much. She doesn't know to touch things. Once, I will put on like story times. Like if I'm busy, like I'll just YouTube, children's stories and have somebody read to her. Or we really like the nature videos, the nature meditation videos. They're beautiful to look at, and you're like under the ocean. Right. And she loves watching that. Yeah. And then like fun movies and stuff. So that's technology. And then like actual caregiving tool technology. For the, when she was still mobile and she was like walking out, a doorbell on the door to wake somebody up in case she just woke up in the middle of the night and decided she wanted to walk out. Cameras. The cameras. We had cameras in most of the apartment. We live in, my parents live in an apartment. So that if the cameras were the ones that I used when I was on the dates, so that way I could be watching while on a date, which is so terrible. So that if we were to step out, those cameras. If we were to step out, we don't use them anymore because she's not mobile. But and we're here all the time, right? Yeah. But if we were to like run to get laundry or something, we could keep an eye on her. Cameras. What else? Oh, the Pure Wick. The Pure Wick is the lifesaver of our lives. Yes. So it's technology to collect pee. So it's an external catheter. So we use it usually at night, so we don't have to do as much laundry, but it's
brought everybody, like, my mom's more comfortable, we're more comfortable, and the environment is more happy, I think, because the amount of laundry we would have to do is a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're very grateful for the Pure Wick. And
I don't know if that's the technology we're talking about, but that technology is great.
It's amazing. Yeah, and then other than that, it's just talking amongst ourselves, using phones for that. So.
Yeah, awesome. Those are really practical tips and technology you shared. How about like support groups? Have you ever been a part of support groups outside of your family that you found very helpful or not?
Yeah, I think we're both on as many Facebook groups for AFTD or for millennial caregivers, and definitely that makes well, I can speak for myself, makes me feel less alone when witnessing so many other people going through similar things. So it's very important. Again, back to like the wave metaphor. Sometimes with support groups, especially in the beginning, it was just always so overwhelming that even finding a support group while you're in the wave is just really difficult. I think one story that I think bears mentioning was when my mom was first diagnosed after she was in the hospital for something. We had to speak to a caregiver, and it just happened that I was the one there. And I'm not a caregiver, a social worker who was supposed to guide us on how to what to expect and what to do.
Resources
it went similar to this. We shared the story. He looked at me and he started crying, and he said, "These are the moments that breaks my heart. You're too young, she's too young, and there's nothing." I mean, we're in the United States, so it's a different story, but there's nothing that we can do to support you all. I'm sorry. And just left. And it was like, okay, so where do we go from there? So there wasn't really guidance that was brought to our attention when you're in the midst. There was a lot of conversation on the science and the genetics, but not so much conversation about caregiving and tools and how to be an ethical caregiver. There wasn't very much. And I think I could speak about my experience. I did go to support groups, but again, I think that it was really difficult for me to keep going to them because it's like, oh, I relive this every day.
Right.
And so that was hard, but I think now I'm in a much different place than I was in the beginning, that I'm looking for and welcoming to make more time for support groups. But I guess just acknowledging that everybody's at a different journey with that, and that yeah, so but definitely those online support groups or speaking out, talking on social media or following amazing groups like you all has been really helpful, really helpful.
Right. Yeah, similar with me. There are periods of time that I'm living FTD day in, day out, and I don't have the emotional bandwidth to read or be of assistance.
Well, I just realized we have been a part of that support group for now 3 months. Sorry.
the young
yes. Caregivers AFTD group. Yes. And that's nice because that's once a month. So it's not like every week or it's once every 3 months.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, well, and throughout the years, we've gone to, like, you've gone to conferences, I've gone to conferences. So that's nice to know that there's help out there. Yeah, I mean, in talking about it, like, I'm aware that there's more support out there that we can reach out to. It's sort of, I guess, again, the wave.
You're in the wave.
Or like
or the balls.
The balls and I made Diana laugh earlier because I told her that it sometimes sort of feels like we're lobsters that are
this is the worst analogy, but it's the best. But go ahead. We're lobsters.
We're lobsters. So I think I'm pretty sure. Yeah, because like what? Anyway, I was gonna talk about the Little Mermaid, but but I think lobsters are like put in cold water and then they turn the heat on. And so it's sort of like, it's not until like the lobsters are like nearly dead, I guess, that they realize that they're like in boiling water. And I think that
they start screaming, literally. We've definitely screamed at some points.
Yeah. So I think it's sort of, there's time periods that we're in the simmering stages and we don't have, I want to say time, but it's not even time, it's just capacity, right? Mm-hmm. So that's our support group spiel, I guess.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, it's caregivers like you guys that really makes feel motivated to do what we're doing. So thank you so much for sharing, for sure. Then I'll pass it to Ron.
Yeah, for sure. I love the lobster analogy. I think it's a really creative way to describe.
He likes it.
Okay. I don't want to be a lobster. I don't want to burn and get eaten alive. Thank you.
I was just like, I think it's a great analogy to draw to kind of reflect on the caregiving experience. I don't think we have any more questions for you guys today, but we just wanted to thank you guys so much for taking the time to chat with us. Really, really inspired by your journey, really motivated by your journey. I know so many caregivers watching this are going to really pull from your story. So thank you so much for being so vulnerable. I guess if people want to reach out to you or like learn more about your caregiving journey, like where can they find you? We'd love to like connect to you.
Yeah. I mean, you can find me at Diana Lauren GM.
And mine is at Sandy Gomo, SandyGomo. And I just wanted to add one more thing. Search in Amazon dementia toys, because the toys that we found, or the tools that we found just doing that, has been immensely helpful.
We have some here if you want to see some.
If you want to see, do a show and tell.
This one.
So it's got like the zipper. Look at that.
That's great. And then it's also, you can fold it and you can put your hands inside so you can play as well.
This is great for doctor's visits or hospital visits, because especially if the patient has, an IV or something here. So there, yeah. So my mom, this is, I think, like our 6th or possibly 7th. Because my mom goes through them really, really fast, and it's missing some pieces, but
it just has a lot of great textures to play with. Different feelings. I mean, you all probably seen it before, but here we go. Well, this is not from Amazon, but this is the favorite right now.
Yeah,
is this hippo, and because it's super, super, super soft, but you can also put its little legs inside, and you can stick your whole hand in its mouth. And also, like, the tail you can pull. This is great too.
So that's sort of like an apron. So that's an easy
playing, and it has fur, which is my mom's favorite part of the whole thing. This fur pocket.
So I think, I think it's just a lot of trial and error, and I think
curiosity and accepting that things will change day to day, and
so I just wanted to make sure I did say that, because it's been a lifesaver to just do that on Amazon, or just I mean, again, we have been learning with our mom, but at the same time, it's these like resources that have just made our lives easier, and looking back, like, oh, if only we had this, or if only we had done that. So we would like to save a little bit of that learning for somebody else. That would make a lot of this worth it.
And I guess no, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. But I guess the other thing I do want to mention is that for long distance caregivers, I just wanted to speak to that like that there's that just because you're not on the ground all day, there's a lot of these things that you can do to help support, which is buying or like helping logistics, or there's a huge strength with like not being present and then being able to come in when the caregiver who's there is, because this was us in the beginning, when the caregiver's there is burnt out, being able to see and what's needed and what can help the situation.
Right.
So just wanted to add that has been another gift in our experience.
No, for sure, for sure. We'll definitely link both of your like Instagram pages in the description. We'll link all the products you guys like mentioned if you feel like comfortable sending us the links. We'd love for other caregivers to be able to access them. And thank you so much for jumping in and sharing those 2 useful tips. I definitely think even more advice that our caregiver viewers can pull from you guys.
Yeah.
So I guess that is it for this week's caregiver interview episode. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We really appreciate hearing your insights. And we'll see you next time on Memoryz Caregiver Interviews.
Thank you.